You ever have one of those moments where your stomach drops, but your body hasn't caught up yet? Like the punch has landed, but your brain's still buffering? That's what happened when Casey's cousin leaned in with a drunken smile and whispered, "So, how's she gonna break it off with Zach now that you're here?" I froze. Beer halfway to my lips. Smile half-baked on my face. And suddenly, everything about the weekend felt off. Like the punchline to a joke I hadn't realized was about me. We were at her uncle's lake house, one of those places with too many bedrooms and not enough cell signal. I'd driven 6 hours, ring tucked deep in my backpack, ready to propose to Casey in front of her whole extended family. Her idea, actually. Said it would be perfect, family, sunshine, grilled burgers, and some sentimental moment on the dock at sunset. Sounded like a Hallmark special, but I bought in. I always bought in when it came to her. Casey and I had been together almost 4 years. Met at a mutual friend's party. She spilled wine on my shirt. Apologized with that lopsided grin that made everything feel easier. I was hooked before I even got her number. I'd been saving for that ring for months. Platinum, single stone, nothing flashy, just clean and real. Like I wanted our life to be. Anyway, the weekend starts off smooth. Her family's loud, nosy, but warm. Big hugs, lots of cheek kisses, and enough small talk to drown in. The house is packed, uncles, cousins, toddlers running around like feral cats. I met most of them last Christmas, but I can't keep the names straight. Zach, though? I remembered Zach. He showed up late Friday. Backpack slung over one shoulder, dark sunglasses even though it was dusk. Tall, lean, always smiling. One of those guys who talks with his hands and seems to know everyone instantly. Apparently, he used to be close with Casey's older brother. Played in a band together or something. But the way Casey's eyes flicked toward him when he walked in, and how she got real quiet for the first time that day, that stuck in my brain. I brushed it off. Told myself not to be paranoid. We all have histories. But Saturday afternoon, I was out back with a few of the cousins. Beer in hand, sunburn creeping across my shoulders. One of them, Joanna, slid onto the bench beside me, tipsy and giggly, talking a mile a minute. She looked like Casey, but sharper around the edges. More tired, more honest. "You're really sweet," she said. "I mean, you must be, to still be here with everything going on." I laughed, confused. "What do you mean?" She blinked, like she realized too late that she'd said something she shouldn't have. Then she leaned in, lowered her voice. "So, how's she gonna break it off with Zach now that you're here?" And there it was. Like someone pulled the thread on the whole sweater, and now I'm just holding yarn. I asked her what she meant. She waved it off. "Forget it. I'm drunk. Family drama. Ignore me." But I couldn't. Not after that. That night, I tried to talk to Casey. Waited until we were alone in the kitchen, just the hum of the fridge and the muffled sounds of laughter from the living room. "Hey," I said. "I need to ask you something." She didn't look up from the bowl she was rinsing. "What? Who's Zach, really?" She froze for half a second. "Just enough." "An old friend," she said, still not looking at me. "Why?" "I heard something. About you and him. About maybe, something going on." She finally turned, eyes sharp. "Seriously, Alex? You're listening to drunk gossip now? I'm asking you." She wiped her hands on a dish towel, exhaled through her nose. "Zach and I were close, years ago. It's nothing. Don't make it weird." But it was weird. She never denied it outright. Just dismissed it, like I was being jealous or dramatic. Later that night, she said she was going for a walk with some of the others. I watched from the upstairs window as she left, not with the others. Just Zach. I didn't sleep. Didn't propose. Didn't even say goodbye. I packed my bag before dawn and slipped out the door like a thief, ring still in my pocket, heart ringing like a bell that wouldn't stop. That should have been the end. But life's not neat like that. Because a week later, Joanna texted me. Just a simple, "Hey. You okay?" And I didn't know why, but I answered. I didn't respond right away. That text from Joanna sat in my notifications for hours, blinking at me like a warning light on a dashboard. I wasn't ready to talk. Not to her. Not to anyone who shared Casey's last name. But I wasn't doing great either, hadn't eaten much, hadn't slept more than a few hours in days. In the end, I just typed, "Not really." Sent it. Then threw my phone on the couch like it might bite me. She replied within minutes. "Didn't think so. Want to get a drink?" I stared at that message like it was a trap. It probably was. Some kind of family loyalty setup. Casey's cousin trying to get dirt, or maybe smooth things over. Part of me wanted to delete it and block her. Another part, the tired, slightly bitter part, figured I had nothing to lose. So I said yes. We met at a dive bar on the edge of town. Low lights, sticky floors, and a jukebox that only played Springsteen and sad country songs. She was already at the bar when I got there, hair up in a messy bun, sipping something clear on the rocks. "Vodka," she said, tapping her glass. "Like water but with consequences." I ordered a beer and sat beside her. We didn't speak at first. Just drank. Let the silence fill in all the cracks. Finally, she looked at me and said, "I didn't mean for you to find out like that." I nodded. "But you knew." She didn't argue. Just swirled the ice in her glass. "Why tell me at all?" I asked. "Because she wasn't going to," Joanna said. "And you didn't deserve that." That hung between us for a while. I thought about that night. Casey leaving with Zach. The way she didn't flinch when I brought it up. Like I was just a speed bump she had to roll over on her way somewhere else. "I was going to propose," I said finally. Had the ring in my pocket and everything. Joanna winced. "Jesus." "Yeah." She ordered us a second round. We talked more this time. Mostly surface stuff, work, family, the usual small talk two broken people share when they're trying not to bleed on the floor. Turned out Joanna had never really fit in with the rest of them either. She said it like it was a badge of honor. "I'm the cousin who always says the wrong thing," she said. "The black sheep with an alcohol problem and too many opinions." "I like opinions," I said. She smiled. "Then you're in luck." We ended up closing the place down. She walked me to my car and lingered like she wanted to say something else. I waited. Instead, she said, "You deserve someone who doesn't make you wonder." Then she kissed my cheek, whispered, "Don't be a stranger," and walked away. I didn't expect to hear from her again. But I did. Texts at first. Memes. Jokes. The occasional, "You alive," when I went quiet too long. It wasn't flirting, not really. Just two people clinging to the only part of a wreck that hadn't sunk yet. I started looking forward to her messages. Started replying quicker. Eventually, we met for drinks again. Then coffee. Then dinner. One night, she showed up at my place with a bottle of bourbon and 2 plastic cups. Said she didn't want to drink alone, and I looked like someone who needed company. We ended up on my porch, wrapped in blankets, watching the stars fade into morning. She didn't try to kiss me. I didn't try to stop her from leaving when she stood up to go. But something shifted that night. Not big. Just enough. A few weeks later, she invited me to her place. Said she had something to show me. It was a painting, big, messy, full of reds and blacks. She said it came to her in a dream, like most of her art did. You ever paint your nightmares? I asked. Only when I'm too sober to sleep, she said. Then she looked at me and said, I still can't believe she did that to you. I shrugged. People do what they want. You just hope they don't step on you to get there. She stepped on both of us. That was the first time we acknowledged it. That Casey hadn't just cheated. She'd manipulated. Played roles. Told different stories to different people. Turned Joanna against the family just for telling the truth. Do you hate her? Joanna asked. I didn't answer right away. No, I said finally. But I don't think I love her anymore. That was the night we crossed the line. I don't remember who kissed who first. Doesn't really matter. All I know is the bed was cold until it wasn't. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something. Not whole. But less broken. We didn't make it official. Too messy. Too soon. But we kept seeing each other. Late-night drives. Weekend hikes. Quiet dinners where we didn't talk about Casey unless we had to. It started to feel like a new chapter. Something honest. Something earned. Until the night she showed up on my porch, pale and shaking, holding a phone in her hand. You need to see this, she said. The screen showed a video. Casey. Crying. Not the performative kind, real, ugly crying. Sitting in a car, mascara running, voice cracking. I lied to you, she said. To both of you. But especially to Alex. Zach, he wasn't the only one. She listed names. Dates. Some from while we were still together. Others from before. A timeline that twisted and blurred and made me nauseous. Then she said something that hit like a truck. I told Joanna to distract you. I told her you'd come running if she acted like she cared. I thought it'd keep you from asking too many questions. Joanna paused the video. I didn't know she was recording this until today, she whispered. She sent it to me. Said she was sorry. That she finally wanted to come clean. I stared at the screen, hollowed out. So this was, what? A setup? I asked. Joanna stepped back like I'd hit her. No, she said. Not for me. I never meant to, I just wanted to help. But then we got close, and I didn't say anything. Couldn't. The worst part? I believed her. I believed Joanna. But the seed was there now. Planted deep. And the roots of doubt? They grow fast. After she left that night, I sat on the porch till sunrise. Didn't sleep. Just watched the sky go from bruise to blue, wondering how the hell I got here. It was supposed to be simple. I loved Casey. I was going to marry her. Then she shattered it all, and I stumbled into something new with Joanna, something that felt real. Clean, even. But now, with that video, it all felt poisoned. Casey's voice echoed in my head, I told Joanna to distract you. Didn't matter that Joanna swore she didn't know. Didn't matter that I believed her. The damage was done. There was no version of the story now where I hadn't been someone's pawn. Joanna didn't text the next day. Or the one after that. On the third day, I caved and messaged her. Just one word, talk. She responded with an address and a time. Neutral ground, a park near the river where we'd once shared ice cream and awkward silence. She was already there when I arrived. Sitting on a bench, sunglasses on, arms folded like she was holding herself together by sheer will. I sat down beside her. Neither of us spoke right away. Finally, she said, "You think I knew?" I don't know what to think, I said. I want to believe you. But that video. She manipulated everyone, Alex. You're not the only one who got burned. I looked at her. Really looked. And saw it, the weight behind her eyes, the tired set of her mouth. She wasn't acting. Wasn't trying to salvage something for herself. She just looked, exhausted. You think I'm proud of any of this? She asked. You think I liked being the one who pulled the thread? I didn't have an answer. We walked for a while after that. Along the river. No destination, no plan. Just two people carrying a story that didn't fit in their pockets anymore. Eventually, she stopped and turned to me. She sent the video because she's losing control, Joanna said. You didn't fall apart when she left. And I didn't play the role she gave me. So now she's scrambling. She's good at that, I muttered. Joanna nodded. She always was. Even as kids, Casey could cry on cue and get what she wanted. Why did she pick you? I asked. To distract me? Joanna laughed bitterly. Because she thought I was harmless. The broken cousin. The one no one listens to. And maybe because, she added, softer now, she knew I'd still want to protect you. That hit harder than I expected. I reached out, took her hand. And for a moment, things felt okay. But peace doesn't last long in stories like this. A week later, Joanna got a letter. Handwritten. No return address. Just her name, scrawled across the front in familiar cursive. Inside was a single sheet of paper. 3 words. You owe me. No signature. No explanation. But we knew. And the next day, Joanna's landlord called. Her lease was being terminated due to structural concerns. That same afternoon, someone tried to access her bank account. Then her employer, a non-profit, received an anonymous tip alleging misconduct, with a doctored screenshot to back it up. I think Casey's trying to ruin me, she said, voice shaking. I think she's coming unhinged. I believed her. But I didn't know how bad it really was. Because that's when I got the call. Blocked number. I picked up, expecting spam. Instead, I heard Casey's voice. Calm. Cold. You know, Alex, she said. It's funny. You always thought you were the good guy. The loyal boyfriend. The one who was going to put a ring on it and fix everything. Silence. Then, but I never asked to be fixed. She hung up. And an hour later, the police showed up at my door. False accusation. Casey had filed a report claiming I'd threatened her. That I'd been stalking her since the breakup. That she feared for her safety. Joanna and I sat in the station for hours, explaining everything. Showing texts. Emails. Dates. Trying to prove that the woman I'd once wanted to marry was now trying to destroy me, and anyone near me. Eventually, the officer, a middle-aged guy with tired eyes, leaned back in his chair and sighed. You two have a hell of a story, he said. But this girl's got resources. Friends. Lawyers. If she's as calculated as you say. He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't have to. That night, Joanna packed a bag and moved into my place. Not because it was romantic. Not because we were ready. But because safety had become more urgent than timing. We stayed up late, planning what to do. Who to talk to. Whether it was worth trying to fight this in court or just vanish for a while. At one point, she looked at me and said, "How did it come to this?" I didn't have an answer. But I had a question of my own. How well do you really know her? Joanna didn't blink. Well enough to be scared. We went to bed in silence. The house felt smaller. The shadows longer. And somewhere, in the darkness, a truth I wasn't ready for was crawling toward the surface. 3 days after the police visit, I came home to find my front door ajar. Joanna was still at work. I'd left that morning like always, double-checked the locks, closed the blinds. Nothing seemed out of place on the porch. But that door was open just enough to whisper, "Something's not right." I stood there a minute, listening. Then stepped inside. Living room? Untouched. Kitchen? Same. No broken glass. No drawers pulled out. But in the bedroom, someone had been there. The dresser drawers were open, not rifled through, just open. Every shirt unfolded, every pair of socks separated like someone had taken their time. The photo of my late dog, Bear, had been turned face down on the nightstand. And on the bed? A single envelope. No name. Just red lipstick smeared in the center like a kiss. I didn't open it. Not right away. I just stared at it, feeling something in my gut twist. When Joanna got home, I was still sitting there. She saw the look on my face, stepped into the room like she was afraid it might explode. Then she saw the envelope. And froze. "Red," she said. She always wore that shade. The letter inside was short. Messy handwriting. Barely legible. "You always said you wanted honesty, Alex. Well, here's a truth. You were never the one. You were just the one who stayed. No signature. No threats. Just that." Joanna read it twice, then dropped it like it burned. "She's watching us," she whispered. "This isn't just about revenge anymore. This is personal." I didn't answer. Because I was already thinking one step ahead. If Casey had been in our home, she'd either broken in herself, or someone let her in. We checked the security footage from the small camera I'd installed by the front door months ago, back when I was still just worried about porch pirates. The footage from that day? Gone. Just a glitch in the timeline. A 4-hour blackout that started 20 minutes after I left for work. I didn't have a tech background, but I knew that wasn't a coincidence. I called the police. Filed a report. Again. They were polite but tired. "Without proof," the officer said, "it's her word against yours. And there's no forced entry." I wanted to scream. But I didn't. The next few days, Joanna and I moved like ghosts. Half-packed boxes started to appear. I changed the locks again. Bought a second camera, hid it this time. We stopped talking about Casey, not because we'd moved on, but because speaking her name felt like summoning her. We started sleeping with the lights on. And then came the night I couldn't sleep. Joanna was passed out on the couch, her arm draped over her face to block the glow of the TV. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the unopened bottle of bourbon between us, thinking about the first time she'd brought it over. And something clicked. Not a memory. A detail. I pulled out my laptop. Opened my email. Started digging. Old messages from Casey. Dozens. Some sweet, some short, some passive-aggressive. But one stuck out, dated almost 2 years ago. "I think you'd really like Joanna. You have the same sense of humor." I remembered that message. Brushed it off at the time. Joanna and I hadn't even met yet. But now. I opened my social media. Searched back through photos. Sure enough, there she was. A tagged photo from a Halloween party Casey hosted the year before I met her. I hadn't been invited that night. Work, I think. But Joanna was there. Dressed as Medusa. Standing 2 people over from Zach. Smiling. I woke her up, heart pounding. "Why didn't you tell me you knew Zach?" She blinked. "What?" I found an old photo. From before we met. You were at Casey's party. With Zach. Standing right next to him. She sat up. I don't remember that night. You don't remember Zach? Silence. Then, he was Casey's friend, not mine. We crossed paths, sure. But we weren't close. You never mentioned it. Because it didn't matter, Alex. Her voice cracked. She looked away. Because I didn't want you thinking this, us, was part of her game. I stared at her. Every word she said sounded true. But the photo said something else. And suddenly, I had a thought I didn't want to have. What if Joanna wasn't the only one Casey was playing? What if I wasn't the target? What if the whole thing, Zach, the betrayal, the setup, the false accusations, what if it wasn't about love or revenge? What if it was about something else entirely? The next morning, I got a call. Blocked number. Again. I let it go to voicemail. She left one this time. Just 5 words. You still don't get it. Click. And for the first time since this whole thing began, I felt afraid in a way I couldn't name. I didn't play the voicemail again. Didn't need to. I could still hear Casey's voice, low and smug, those 5 words sinking into my brain like ice water. You still don't get it. That's when I realized, she wasn't trying to hurt me anymore. She was trying to teach me something. And that scared the hell out of me. I drove out to the lake house. Hadn't been back since the weekend it all blew up. But something told me the answer wasn't in the present, it was buried back where everything unraveled. Joanna didn't want me to go. Said we should leave the past buried. But I wasn't sleeping. Couldn't think. Couldn't shake the feeling that Casey hadn't just burned bridges, she'd left a trail. A story I hadn't been smart enough to read the first time. The place was empty, off-season quiet. The dock where I was supposed to propose looked smaller now. Sadder. Like it knew the story had changed. I walked through the house. Room by room. Let my memory guide me. And in one of the upstairs bedrooms, the one Joanna had stayed in, I found something wedged between the wall and the dresser. A phone. Not mine. Not Joanna's. It was old. Cracked screen. No passcode. And when I turned it on, it buzzed weakly to life. The first thing I saw was a thread of messages between Casey and Zach. The last one dated the morning after I left. Zach. You think he bought it? Casey. Does it matter? Zach. You're not even a little sorry? Casey. Don't get soft on me now. Zach. He didn't deserve this. Casey. Nobody ever does. That's the point. I sat down hard. The phone shook in my hand. Not from fear, from rage. Zach knew. He knew, and he played along. He didn't stop it. Didn't warn me. Just followed her lead like everyone else did. And Casey. Casey wasn't playing a game. She was writing a play. And we were all cast. I showed Joanna the texts that night. She didn't cry. Didn't even flinch. Just poured 2 glasses of whiskey and said, I told you she was good. I nodded. She's not good. She's surgical. Joanna tapped the rim of her glass. You know what scares me the most? What? She hasn't even started the second act. We tried to get ahead of her. Lawyered up. Reported the break-in again. Installed more cameras. Changed emails, passwords, even got burner phones. But it didn't matter. 2 days later, I lost my job. Company restructure, they said. But someone had sent HR a file. Doctored messages. Claims that I'd violated privacy policies. Harassed a former partner. The file was anonymous. But the language? It sounded just like her. Joanna's job wasn't far behind. Anonymous complaint. Photos from a party she never attended. Texts she never sent. A screenshot of a donation made in her name, to an organization her boss publicly despised. And just like that, we were both out. No income. No stability. No more doubt. We sat on the floor of my apartment that night, surrounded by boxes and silence. She's not just trying to ruin us, Joanna said. She's dismantling us. Why? She said it once, remember? Joanna stared at the ceiling. Because nobody ever deserves it. That's the point. That's not revenge, I said. No, Joanna whispered. That's philosophy. Later that night, I couldn't sleep again. So I pulled out the old phone. Started digging deeper. There were more messages. But not with Zach. This time, they were with someone named M. I didn't know the name. But the tone was different. Intimate. Almost, reverent. M. He's going to ask you to marry him, you know. Casey. I know. M. What are you going to say? Casey. Doesn't matter. He's already lost me. M. But he still loves you. Casey. Then maybe that's what he needs to unlearn. There were more. But this one hit hardest. Casey. You ever read about those tribes that tear down their homes every few years and rebuild from scratch? M. No. Why? Casey. Because it keeps the rot from settling in. I think I'm like that. I tear people down so they don't get to rot me first. That was the moment I stopped hating her. Not because she deserved forgiveness. But because I realized something. Casey wasn't trying to destroy us. She was trying to reset herself. We were just the scaffolding. And when she was done building, she knocked it down. The next morning, Joanna was gone. No note. No goodbye. Just her phone, left on the counter, and one message typed in the Notes app. I think she was right. Some of us need to be torn down. The apartment was still. Still in the way a place gets after someone leaves with no intention of coming back. No trace of sound, just a kind of stillness that hums in your bones. Joanna was gone. She'd left nothing but the note, that line I couldn't stop rereading. I think she was right. Some of us need to be torn down. I didn't move for hours. Just sat at the kitchen table, her phone in one hand, the bourbon in the other, trying to piece it together. But truth doesn't come in neat answers. It comes in flashes, smells, memories, offhand remarks that don't mean much until they do. And one line kept coming back. You still don't get it. I needed answers. Not about Casey. Not anymore. I knew who she was, the kind of person who pulls levers just to watch things fall. I needed to understand Joanna. So I did something I hadn't done in months. I went back to her. Not Joanna, Casey. She was staying in a rental on the north side, tucked in behind some gated community, the kind of place where people think security means silence. I waited till dusk. Knocked twice. She answered barefoot, hair wet, like she'd just stepped out of a shower. No surprise in her eyes. Just that same calm curiosity I used to mistake for warmth. Alex, she said, stepping aside like she'd been expecting me. Took you long enough. The inside was sparse. No pictures. No clutter. Like she wasn't planning to stay. I sat across from her at the kitchen table. Same spot I'd sat across from Joanna so many nights. She poured us both tea. I didn't drink mine. Why now? She asked. You win, I said. She smiled. Not a gloat, just a quiet nod, like I'd confirmed something she already knew. I slid the burner phone across the table. Joanna's gone. Casey picked it up, studied it like an artifact. Did she leave you, or herself? I don't know. You do. I didn't argue. There was silence then. Long comfortable, for her, at least. Finally, I asked, why her? Why me? Casey's eyes flicked toward the window. Because you were clean, she said. You loved too purely. You saw people in pieces and wanted to put them back together. She looked back at me. I needed someone like that. To hurt? To measure myself against. I shook my head. What about Joanna? Casey's face changed then, just a flicker. Something old and brittle underneath. She loved you, I said. I think you knew that. I did. Why did you drag her into this? Because she used to be like me. Once. She reached for something under the table. A box. Small. Cardboard. No markings. Pushed it toward me. Open it, she said. Inside were photos. Old ones. Casey. Younger. Wearing braces, hair darker. Standing next to Joanna, same blue eyes, but different posture. Straighter. Stiffer. The kind of stance kids learn when they're taught to endure, not speak. What is this? Family, she said. Before things fell apart. The next photo was worse. Same two girls, a few years older. One with a black eye. The other with a split lip. Both smiling through it. I looked up. Casey's voice was soft. You thought I was the broken one. You are broken. So is she. She slid another photo across the table. This one was recent. Joanna. Standing on a balcony. Holding hands with a woman I didn't recognize. Smiling. The woman she ran to, Casey said. The one she couldn't run to back then. What are you talking about? Casey leaned back. Joanna never wanted to play the savior. She just wanted to be safe. You were the first man who didn't ask her to bleed for him. My chest tightened. She left to protect you, Casey said. From me. From herself. That's not your decision to make. No, she said. But it was hers. I stood. Done with games. But Casey wasn't done. She reached into her pocket. Pulled out a key. Small. Rusted. What is that? A choice, she said. She left it in your jacket pocket. She wanted you to find it after she was gone. I didn't understand. Until she said the name of the place. A memory. An old storage unit on the west side, the kind we used to rent in college when Casey was between apartments. I'd almost forgotten it existed. She smiled, as if reading my thoughts. Go, she said. You'll understand when you get there. I didn't thank her. Didn't speak. Just took the key and walked out. The sun was setting. The sky was the color of ash and bruise. And for the first time in months, I felt something more dangerous than anger. Hope. The key was cold in my pocket the whole drive over. Didn't matter that the AC was off, it felt like ice against my thigh, like it was warning me. I pulled into the lot just after sunset. The place hadn't changed since college, same chain-link fence, same flickering security light, same air of forgotten memories and unpaid bills. The manager was long gone, but the gate code hadn't changed. Casey must have known that too. Unit 4C. That was the one we used to rent together, back when we were broke and bouncing between bad apartments. It was supposed to be temporary storage, textbooks, old furniture, a few crates of her childhood stuff. But we never cleaned it out. Never had the time or reason. Until now. I walked past rows of rusting metal doors, each one humming with the quiet weight of someone else's story. When I found 4C, my hands didn't shake. I unlocked it. Lifted the door. And stepped inside. The smell hit me first: stale cardboard, old paper, and something else. Lavender, faint and fading. The kind of scent you don't notice until it's gone. The light bulb overhead flickered once, then steadied. And there she was. Not Casey. Joanna. Sort of. Photos. Everywhere. Hung from twine, taped to walls, clipped to old corkboards. Photos of her and Casey as teenagers. Of her and me at the lake house. Of her alone, walking down a city street, sitting in a cafe, staring out of a train window. I hadn't taken those pictures. Neither had Casey. Which meant someone had been following her. For years. And that someone was probably Joanna herself. On the back of each photo, there were notes. Scribbled in ink. Half diary, half confession. I picked one up. Alex smiled today. Not the polite kind, the real one. I didn't realize how much I'd missed the sound of someone breathing beside me without fear. Another. I shouldn't be here. Not like this. But I wanted to know what love felt like when it wasn't currency. And another. If Casey finds this place, I'm done. If Alex finds it, maybe he'll understand. In the far corner was a trunk. I almost didn't open it. Part of me didn't want to know what she'd locked away. But something about that note, the last one, pulled me toward it. Inside were journals. 8 of them. Labeled by season. The first one was from 3 years ago. The last one stopped 6 weeks before we met. I flipped through them, page after page. Some were poems, some entries, some frantic scribbles that looked like they'd been written in the dark. But the one entry that caught me was dated just before that family gathering, the one where I'd planned to propose. Casey called again. Says she's inviting Alex to the lake house. Says it's time I repay my debt. I told her I wasn't going to do it. She reminded me of the videos. The letters. The years she protected me from our parents. She said if I didn't play the part, she'd expose me. She always knew how to keep me obedient. God help me, I think I might do it. Not because I owe her. But because I want to see him again. I want to know if I could have been the kind of woman someone like him could love. I sat down hard on the concrete floor. It was all there. Every lie, every move, every moment I thought was spontaneous. The truth? Joanna was planted. Just like Casey said. She'd been sent to distract me. But then she stayed. And that part? That wasn't part of Casey's plan. That was hers. I stayed in that unit until the sun came back up. Didn't sleep. Didn't eat. Just read. And by the end, I knew one thing. Joanna loved me. But she never forgave herself for how we met. There was one last note. Folded and taped to the inside of the door. Written in Joanna's handwriting. No date. Alex, if you found this, it means I was too much of a coward to tell you face to face. I didn't mean to lie. I meant to leave after the first drink. But you smiled. And I forgot how to run. I don't want your forgiveness. I just wanted you to know the truth. I was a weapon. And somehow, you made me human again. Don't chase me. Let me be worth what I ruined. I closed the door. Locked it. And walked away. Not because I wanted to. But because I finally understood. Some people don't leave because they don't love you. They leave because they do, and they don't trust themselves not to break you twice. I didn't go home after I left the storage unit. Didn't go anywhere, really. Just drove until the sun was too high and the gas lights started blinking. Pulled over at a rest stop off Route 8. Sat on a bench under a dying tree and stared at nothing for about an hour. People came and went, couples holding hands, truckers stretching their legs, kids chasing pigeons. Nobody noticed me. Which felt right. Because I wasn't anybody just then. Not really. Just a man full of stories that didn't belong to him anymore. The thing about finding the truth, it doesn't fix anything. It just rewrites the damage. I knew Joanna loved me. I also knew she lied to me. Not with her words, but with her silence. She let me fall for her knowing she'd been sent to catch me, then drop me when the time was right. But she didn't drop me. She dropped herself. And now I was left standing in the middle of a story that no longer had a plot, just aftermath. A week passed. I didn't hear from Joanna. Didn't hear from Casey either. Which scared me more. I went back to work eventually. Or tried to. Cleared my name enough to get a contract gig, IT work for a law office downtown. Clean hours, decent pay. Nobody asked too many questions, and I didn't offer any. But something had changed in me. I couldn't sit still. Couldn't focus. Every email felt like a trap. Every phone call like a loaded gun. I kept seeing Joanna in every crowd. Kept expecting Casey's name to pop up on my screen. Paranoia? Maybe. But if you'd seen what I saw, read what I read, you wouldn't call it paranoia. You'd call it survival. Then came the letter. No postmark. Just tucked under my windshield wiper like a parking ticket. My name in thick black ink. Inside, one line. She's not coming back. But someone else is. No signature. No return address. Just those words. I read it 3 times, then set it on fire in the sink. Didn't matter what it meant. Didn't matter who sent it. It meant one thing clearly: I wasn't done with this story. 3 nights later, I found something new. Or rather, something found me. I came home late. Raining hard. The kind of rain that soaks you even with an umbrella. I stepped inside, kicked off my boots, and froze. Because there was a sound. Soft. Rhythmic. Drip. 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 It was coming from the hallway. From the bathroom. I edged toward it, heart knocking around my chest like it had lost its rhythm. The door was cracked. I pushed it open. And saw her. Joanna. Sitting on the floor, back against the wall, hair wet, eyes hollow. "Hey," she whispered, like we just bumped into each other at a coffee shop. I didn't ask how she got in. I didn't care. I just knelt down and said, "Are you real?" She nodded. Then pulled something out of her coat pocket. A USB drive. "I found something," she said. "I wasn't going to show you. But I think you deserve to know." "What is it?" Her hand shook slightly. The real reason Casey did all this. I stared at the drive. It looked harmless. But so did everything at first. We plugged it into my laptop. A folder popped up. Dozens of video files. Each one labeled by date. Some going back years. She clicked the oldest one. And I saw it. Casey. At 16. Sitting on a bed, whispering into the camera. Tears down her face. "My father said I'm too emotional. That I need to learn control. So I'm trying something. I'm going to start recording everything. Every person I meet. Every reaction. Every outcome. Maybe if I understand people, I can stop getting hurt." Click. The next video, She's older. 19. Talking to someone off-screen. Do you think love is real, or just dopamine and projection? Click. Another one. She's in a therapist's office. Pretending to cry. Then winks at the camera as the therapist looks away. Click. Then one that made my blood go cold. Me. Sitting at a cafe, first date. Smiling. Casey off-screen, whispering to the camera, subject 42. Friendly. A little lonely. Ideal candidate. Click. I closed the laptop. Heart pounding. Joanna looked at me, eyes wide. She catalogued all of us, I said. We weren't people. We were tests. She didn't want revenge, Joanna whispered. She wanted data. We sat in silence. Rain still beating on the windows. And finally, I said what neither of us wanted to. She's still watching us. Joanna nodded. Then said, and she's not done. We didn't speak much after that night. There was nothing left to say that wouldn't feel like smoke after fire. Just two people sitting in the dark with a screen full of ghosts. That folder on the USB had over 300 video files. Casey had labeled every one with a subject number. We stopped watching after number 52, me. There were more. Some labeled with first names. Others just initials. A few marked only with question marks. They weren't just boyfriends or friends. There were teachers. Therapists. Co-workers. People who didn't know they were being studied. People who thought they were living real lives with a real person. And Casey had documented it all. Not like a sociopath. Not like a sadist. Like a scientist. The next morning, Joanna was gone again. This time, she left a note. Nothing long. Just, I have to find her before she starts over. Don't follow me. I mean it this time. I sat with that for a long time. I didn't cry. Didn't rage. I just felt tired. The kind of tired that doesn't come from lack of sleep, but from knowing the thing you were trying to fix was never broken. Just built different. A week passed. Then two. The videos haunted me. I tried deleting them. The folder came back. I changed laptops. Somehow, it showed up again, emailed to myself from an account I didn't recognize, with a message that read, "Don't try to erase what shaped you." I started receiving letters. Again. No return address. Different handwriting each time. But always the same theme. Do you miss her yet? Did she tell you the truth about Berlin? How far would you go to feel real again? Each one cut deeper than the last. I didn't understand what Berlin meant. Didn't even know Casey had ever been to Europe. But I was starting to understand the game. It wasn't about winning or losing. It was about the audience. About knowing someone was watching. Always. I began tracing the metadata in the videos. Each had a GPS tag. Most were scrubbed. But not all. One file, a short 20-second clip of a train station, still had coordinates. Not Berlin. Montana. Flathead County. Nowhere near where we lived. But I'd been there once, years ago, on a road trip with college friends. I remembered the mountains. The quiet. The absence. I pulled out a map. Marked it. Then pulled out the last letter. On the back was a smear of dirt I hadn't noticed before. Not ink. Not makeup. Just soil. Dark. Clay heavy. Exactly like the kind I'd seen in the Montana fields. I booked a ticket. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't pack much. Just my clothes, the USB, and one question. What the hell was in Montana? When I arrived, the air hit different. Thinner. Quieter. I rented a truck. Drove until the GPS stopped working. Then switched to compass and memory. The coordinates took me down an unmarked road. Then a trail. Then a clearing. And there it was. A cabin. Old. Weathered. But still standing. Windows covered in black plastic. No sign of life. Until I knocked. Once. Twice. Then the door opened. And Joanna stood there. Alive. But not the same. She didn't hug me. Didn't smile. She just stepped aside. Said, "You need to see this." Inside, there were maps. Strings. Photos. A full wall covered in red ink and notes. Like something out of a thriller, only this wasn't fiction. This was her blueprint. Casey's. Every person she'd manipulated. Every timeline she'd altered. Every subject she'd studied. But at the center, not a photo of Casey. A mirror. And under it, a note in Joanna's handwriting. The only way to understand her is to understand what part of her you carry. I turned to Joanna. "You've been here this whole time?" She nodded. Following the threads. Watching who comes next. Next. She stepped closer. "She's not finished. Alex, she's training someone." My blood went cold. "Who?" Joanna picked up a small envelope. Handed it to me. Inside was a photo. Black and white. A girl. Young. Maybe 15. Long dark hair. Eyes too sharp for her age. And right there, in the corner of the frame, the unmistakable edge of a camera. Being held by Casey. "She's starting over," Joanna said. "Building again. And this time." She looked at me. Really looked. "She's not just collecting people." I swallowed. "What then?" "She's building a legacy." We sat in silence for what felt like an hour. Outside, the wind rustled through the pine. Inside, it was just us, the mirror, and that photo, the girl with the hollow stare and the predator watching behind the lens. Joanna finally spoke. "She's calling her subject 99. I turned toward her. "How do you know that?" "She told me." Her voice cracked. "In the last message she sent." I blinked. "You've been in contact?" "She didn't leave me a choice," she whispered. "Not after I walked away from you. Not after I chose truth over her." Joanna pulled a recorder from a drawer. Pressed play. It was Casey's voice. Calm. Measured. The voice you'd use to explain fire to a child. "Legacy isn't about blood, Joe. It's about pattern. It's about data. You and I, we broke pattern. We let things grow where they were meant to be burned. But 99? She's clean. She's young. And most importantly, she still believes in me." The tape ended. Joanna didn't move. Just stared at the table. "She's training her," she said. "This girl, she thinks Casey is her mentor. Her guardian. She doesn't know she's being sculpted into the same kind of monster." I felt sick. "Where is she?" Joanna shook her head. "I don't know. She's moving them constantly. But I found one clue." She walked over to the wall. Pulled down a photo. It was a blurry gas station security still. Casey at the pump. The girl in the passenger seat. License plate partially visible. "I traced it," Joanna said. "Oregon plates. Registered under a shell name. Last spotted near Eugene. That was 3 days ago." My heart started to race. What do you want to do? Joanna looked at me. And for the first time since this all began, I saw something in her I hadn't seen before. Purpose. We end it, she said. Before the pattern continues. We drove straight through the night. No music. No talking. Just the hum of tires and the weight of what we were about to do. Somewhere along the highway, I realized this wasn't about love anymore. Or betrayal. Or even revenge. It was about stopping something before it took root again. About breaking the cycle. We found them at a motel on the edge of Eugene. The kind of place that didn't ask questions. That existed between towns, between lives. Joanna spotted the car first. The license plate matched. We waited until dawn. Then we knocked. Casey answered. Same smirk. Same dead calm. But her eyes flicked, just once, when she saw Joanna beside me. That's new, she said. Thought you two were done. Joanna didn't flinch. We are. But this isn't about us. Then I said it, we want the girl. Casey leaned in the doorway, amused. She's not a hostage. She's not a subject either. She's learning, Casey said. And she's already better than either of you ever were. She's 15. She's free. I don't remember pulling her. I just remember the girl stepping into the light, cautious, curious. Looking not at Casey, not at Joanna, but at me. And saying, she told me you'd come. I knelt down. What else did she tell you? That I was meant to be more than just a daughter, the girl said. That I was going to be the next version. Joanna stepped in then. Took the girl's hand. You're not a version, she said. You're a person. The girl hesitated. Then nodded. And just like that, she stepped past Casey. Into the light. We didn't call the police. Didn't make a scene. We just left. 3 of us. 2 survivors. And 1 unfinished story. Casey didn't follow. She just watched us go. And as we drove away, I realized something. She never needed to chase us. Because the real story, the one she was writing, wasn't in notebooks or videos or USB drives. It was in people. The ones she broke. The ones she shaped. The ones who had to choose what came next. A year later, the girl, whose name was Maya, started school under Joanna's care. Safe. Slowly healing. She paints now. Still quiet. Still watching. But the eyes? They're softer now. Less hollow. More human. And me? I moved again. Quiet town. Clean job. No shadows on the walls. I don't talk about Casey much. Not even to Joanna. We write, sometimes. Check in. But we keep space between us. Like we know the past might be contagious. One night, I got a letter. Unmarked envelope. Inside, 1 photo. Joanna. Maya. Smiling. And on the back, 1 sentence in Casey's handwriting. Pattern interrupted. Beautiful. That was the last I ever heard from her. I don't know where she is. Or who she's watching now. But I know this. She didn't win. Not because we beat her. But because we stopped playing.